Hello and welcome to Management 628, Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning for Managers. My name is Rich Gruss and I'll be the instructor. When I first designed this course about 7 years ago, artificial intelligence was a very different thing. What people understood by AI was sort of an obscure subfield within computer science that involved some statistics. And since then, it has changed dramatically. It is everywhere. For example, there are now approximately 90,000 companies developing what they call AI products. There are literally thousands of podcasts now dedicated to the field of artificial intelligence. There are tens of thousands, possibly even hundreds of thousands of news stories in the past year about artificial intelligence. Many of the top universities are now offering, at the very least, artificial intelligence minors or courses. Some of them are offering majors in artificial intelligence. And issues of artificial intelligence are now dominating conversations in conferences. So whether we're talking about a conference about something in business, such as insurance or accounting, or something in academia, um, every single session is now about artificial intelligence. You've probably seen all around the university all kinds of discussions about what we're going to do about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence will be on the syllabus. So it is really everywhere. And so what has happened? Well, obviously, the killer app, so to speak, was launched in November of 2022 with ChatGPT. I don't know if you've seen the adoption curves that they have for different technologies. It basically is an S-shaped curve that demonstrates that adoption is often slow and then it increases at a decreasing rate until it levels off. And so the steepness of that curve says something about how quickly the technology was adopted by the general population. ChatGPT had the fastest adoption of any technology in the history of the world. Um, Pretty much as soon as it was launched, you could depend on everybody that you were working with, anybody that you were learning from, anybody that you were learning with was probably using ChatGPT very soon after November of 2022. So, and then of course, in addition to this, there were these other large language models such as Gemini and Claude and Grok and Llama, and there's just so many, there's hundreds. So this is what happened to the discussions of artificial intelligence. When people started using this, they said, wow, this is going to change everything. But we've seen it popping up in other places also. It isn't just in these large language models that we're using to maybe clean up our grammar or generating some routine kinds of text that we don't really feel like writing, or maybe having conversations with or doing therapy with. We'll talk about generative AI in a later module, but I just wanted to make the case here that was really the first time when the general public started talking a lot about AI. And practitioners, when they mention AI, this is really what they're talking about. Now, we've seen it in other places. It's hard to find a website now that doesn't have something of a chatbot. You know, how exactly that's implemented, whether it's all automated or whether there's a person listening on the other end, it varies from site to site. But this is an AI that's kind of cropping up here and there. Of course, in autonomous vehicles, those are getting to be more and more of a reality. Um, but there are other places where it is having some surprising strides, such as drug development. Uh, the chemistry behind the development of pharmaceuticals is far beyond what I know, but I do know that experimentation with combinatorial problems is something that AI does extremely well. And so now there are drug companies that are using artificial intelligence to develop new pharmaceuticals. It's being used in architecture, it's being used in the arts, and it's being used in law enforcement. I know for a fact that there are certain kinds of neural networks, which we'll talk about later, that are used in, for example, enforcement of fishing restrictions. But this is the key fact that is now driving this course. 86% of companies expect AI to transform their business in the next 5 years. So the world of work is going to change. There is going to be a massive overhaul of even positions that we thought were going to be kind of steady, such as accounting or college professors. AI is really changing the way we do a lot of things. So it behooves us as professionals in the business world to make sure that we really know what this is and how we can make it work for us rather than against us. So that's really what this course is about. Now, although I do have a technical background and I worked for many years as a programmer and I've done kind of the coding side of this course is really strictly about what managers need to know. So there's no required technical background. What we're here to think about is more like how we make decisions as managers, what kind of problems these present, and then how we can make sure that we make best use of this. So we're going to look at what AI technologies are there. So what's available right now? What can the technology do? What business processes can it improve? And what business processes will it replace? What business models will it enable? So one thing they talk about with technology transformation, it's very different from just technology adoption, because technology transformation is when you not only get greater efficiency in how you do something, but maybe you decide to do something entirely new that some new product or some new service or, a new market, changing the way you generate revenue entirely. That's transformation. And so, how are these new AI technologies going to make completely new business models? How do we get started? What are the personnel, technical, and organizational prerequisites? Are we ready to just, drop a neural network into our processes? What do we need to have in place? Of course, we need to be able to understand something about the costs and the benefits, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And of course, one of the themes in this course, and I do talk about the themes in another video, is this perennial management tension between innovation and efficiency. So on the innovation side, these are working in opposite directions. So if you are constantly innovating your processes, that has a damaging effect on your efficiency, because there's learning effects that kind of slow down how your production. So if you are constantly innovating, then you're necessarily not going to be as efficient. However, if you optimize for efficiency, you're going to get kind of a lock-in to particular processes and particular technology, and that's going to make you less innovative. So these AI technologies, especially the rapidity with which they are changing, creates a whole new set of problems with this tension between innovation and efficiency. And we'll see that again and again throughout the course. Okay, so now some mechanics about exactly how the course is going to work. So the course is designed, as it's 7 weeks long, and it's designed around 7 week-long modules, where each module will focus on one particular technology. And I'll just take a peek here at what these are. So module 1 is just going to be addressing what is artificial intelligence. And module 2 will be about machine learning. Module 3 is natural language processing. Module 4, deep learning, which is also called neural networks. We'll talk about that. Module 5 is robotics. Module 6, generative AI. And then finally, we'll finish with implementation issues and ethics. This is where we get into the real management nitty-gritty about how we go about inserting this new technology into our processes. So those are what the modules are. So for each module, there's going to be a set of readings and some lectures. I try to keep the lectures fairly short, because both education theory and my YouTube channel has taught me that 50-minute long videos just don't seem to get a lot of attention. So I try to keep these short. So each module should have a series of short lectures that just kind of where I just kind of introduce you to the key topics. And these I will expect you to finish these each Wednesday. So you can think about a regular weekly schedule. Okay, by Wednesday, I should have done the readings and the lectures. And then on Thursday, so each module will have a quiz. Um, I will keep the best of two attempts at these quizzes, so they're not meant to be punitive. They're just meant to keep you up to date and to make sure that I'm reinforcing what I wanted you to get out of the readings. And then in addition to the short readings and the lectures and the quiz, every week there's going to be a case. So the case teaching method is a fine tradition in business. You typically get a really good, solid understanding of issues if you take a look at a case and a real world case, and then you can think about all the all the sides of that case. So we're going to do a case each week, and you're going to, in response to some prompts that I give you, going to just post a discussion, and I expect you all to have a conversation up there, to write your post, read other people's posts, respond to other people's posts. And then what I will monitor this and I will occasionally participate in the conversation. And at the end of each module, I'll go ahead and just post a little video wrap up where I said, okay, here's what people were talking about. And here are my views about this particular case. And yeah, just a way of alleviating what I feel is sort of the anonymity of these kinds of courses. Um, I I feel like that will be a little bit more participative than just having the discussion alone. Okay, so that's for each week, and then at the end of the term, the main deliverable is going to be a final paper, which is going to be a roadmap for an AI implementation in your organization. And I give you the specific outline for what I'm looking for, but this is something you can think about throughout the course. The idea here is that you'll do an assessment of the current capabilities and processes of your organization. Think about what you've learned about these AI technologies, and then give me a roadmap of some, what they will cost, what they will, the costs and benefits, and how you plan to implement them. And this will just be a professional document. It's not going to be an essay. It's not going to be academic. It's designed to be something that you could potentially put into the hands of your manager and have that actually be a legitimate kind of actionable plan. Okay. All right, so just to give you another bit of a preview here. So these cases that I mentioned, each week we're doing a different case that has specifically to do with the technology that we are discussing that week. The first one just makes this general case that AI is not going to be a sustainable advantage. So this is something that I always tell students. If you have something, you have to assume your competitors do too. So yes, you have the AI, but they do too. Do you have some other angle? Does it work best with your particular processes or product? Are you better at it? So you have to think not only about the AI, but about whether it gives you any kind of an angle. Okay, module 2, we'll look at what DISD is doing with machine learning, natural language processing, which is actually my expertise, will be covered with just a general description of the power of natural language processing. Module 4, we're going to be looking at a company that uh, they make these cameras to go into, of all things, recycling bins. And it's really interesting how they changed the cost mechanics of recycling in general. So uh, Module 5 will cover a robotics company that's trying to figure out how they can make affordable robots that will actually, be usable in certain business contexts. And then Module 6, looking at generative AI at HubSpot. And then finally, our last case will be more general again about the ethical implications of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and big data. So again, welcome to the course. I'm happy to have you here, and let me know if you have any questions, and good luck.